So welcome back, guys, to another video, and today I want to talk about my memories of the PlayStation 2, a console that to this day is still one of my favorites of all time and made such an impact in my life in gaming. And you know, before I get into some of the games that I definitely wanted to talk about that highlight my overall memories of the console, I want to talk about my initial reactions and first introductions to the PlayStation 2, because now it's pretty comical. At the time, it was pretty heartbreaking, and the reason why is because I remember I really wanted a PlayStation 1. The 6th gen was up and going. I felt like I was really missing out with gaming because all I had was a Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and begging my mom like just about like every Christmas. It was like 3 Christmases, please give me a PlayStation 1. I finally got one, and I was so happy, and we went to CVS Pharmacy. I bought my first PlayStation magazine because I felt like I was in the club now. I'm in the Sony club. I can buy PlayStation magazines. I bought it with a demo disc. And then going into the gaming news section, they talked about the announcement and hints of a PlayStation 2. To say it was heartbreaking is an understatement. Here I was, really wanting to dive into 6th gen and finding out that the 7th gen was just right around the corner. Now, while I didn't dampen my experience with the PlayStation 1, I still had a great time with that console. I finally got my PlayStation 2 in 2001, and I had just started high school, and I remember the first game I bought was the game that everyone around my age was playing because this was such a hot title, and that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. I was a big skateboarder, and when my friends weren't out skateboarding, we were playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 just looked amazing on the PS2. Just thinking back how smooth the graphics were, how amazing the soundtrack was. I mean, that's one thing I will say about the Tony Hawk games, is not only were they fun, but they introduced me to so many different bands and so many different music genres. And to this day, I have so much nostalgia for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. And the next game I want to talk about is a game that introduced me to a whole new world of gaming. An open world of gaming, a controversial world of gaming, and that is Grand Theft Auto 3. I remember picking this up, and you know, I remember hearing about Mortal Kombat and violent video games, but I remember playing this and being like, wow, this is pretty adult, this is pretty intense. And I'll be honest, this is a game I still haven't finished. But I think Grand Theft Auto is a series that even if you don't finish the campaign, you still have so much you can do. I remember my friends and I would just look for different stunt jumps, and I would just drive around listening to the radio and running over pedestrians. I remember as well as we had a VCR that we actually recorded gameplay footage back before the days of YouTube, recorded some of our favorite glitches and some of our favorite runs from the law and stuff like that. This was a fantastic game, and I love Vice City the most, but I have so many memories of Grand Theft Auto 3 that really just resonate to this day. Now, the next series I want to talk about is a series that unfortunately has stayed dormant since the PlayStation 2, and it's kind of a shame because it's a really good series, and that is Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud was a game I picked up, and by the time I got it, it was kind of a budget title. It was a lot cheaper. I bought it used at, I believe it was EB Games I bought it, and it was like a mixture of Zelda Ocarina of Time meets Harvest Moon. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, you went through the dungeons, the fighting style was very much like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It was very similar, but at the same time you were rebuilding the world, and you were rebuilding your communities and relationships with townspeople. And I mean, I absolutely love this game, and Dark Cloud 2 was really great. I really wish Level 5 and Namco Bandai would just come together and give us a Dark Cloud 3. And the next game I want to talk about was a huge game in this series that I absolutely loved. I mean, it was such a big deal that it had voice acting. That was just unheard of. That was unreal. And that is Final Fantasy X. And you know, I'm so glad that we have so many HD remasters of Final Fantasy X, because there are folks out there that are experiencing this game for the first time, and I envy them, because my first experience with this game was just so breathtaking. So words cannot describe playing the demo and purchasing this game and playing it for the first time and talking about it in high school with my friends, you know, skipping gym class and really diving into Final Fantasy X and bringing the strategy guide over. And you know, this was kind of an end of an era with Final Fantasy. It was like the beginning of a long progression that the series would go through. I feel like after Final Fantasy X, the series was never the same. So in some ways, this was kind of a swan song to the series I love. But I absolutely love this game so much. Now, unfortunately, my PlayStation 2 died. It was the fat original PlayStation 2, and it had the same issues that a lot of those consoles had, where the laser wore out. It didn't read certain games. So I was content getting rid of it, buying a GameCube, and just riding the rest of the generation playing the GameCube until Sony came out with some really interesting exclusives. And at the time, I was working at Babbage's, and I remember seeing the announcements and just being completely floored and saying I had to go out and rebuy a PlayStation 2. I got the slim model, and I was back on board, especially with this title, and that is Dragon Quest VIII. Dragon Quest VIII, I have so many memories with because this was my Christmas game. This was the game I remember playing the Christmas of like 2005, and going with my friends and getting donuts at Krispy Kreme and coming back and playing this. And the soundtrack's amazing. The graphics to this day still hold up. It's still one of my favorite entries to the series, and I remember it had the demo to Final Fantasy XII, but I'll be honest, it was all about Dragon Quest because I'm a huge Dragon Warrior fan, and seeing Square Enix come together, Enix and Squaresoft, they came together when they made this game, and it was so much more promotion I've ever seen for a Dragon Quest game. I remember I had a picture taken when I was at Babbage's with the Slime controller for the PlayStation 2, and to say that I was excited about this game is quite the understatement. If you still haven't played this, you definitely need to check it out. And this next game, I definitely had to buy. When I got my PlayStation 2 for the second time, I was like, this is on my list. I have to get this. Because it completely blew my mind like Grand Theft Auto 3. It was a grittier experience I had never seen in gaming, and that is God of War. I love Greek mythology. I've always enjoyed it, and I just love the story of Kratos, that story of revenge, the way the game played. It was a hack and slash with so much personality to it, and to this day, this is still one of the most timeless games that you can get on any Sony console because they made HD remasters for like the PlayStation 3, and as much as I love the other God of Wars, I feel like if you have never played the first God of War, you definitely got to see where the roots. You got to see where it all came from and play this and just soak it in, because I think to this day I still think this game really holds up. And I could not make a PlayStation 2 memories video without talking about this title, this very niche, weird game, Chulip, made by the same folks who did Harvest Moon. This is a kissing simulator. Now, I did an episode a while back of Check It Out, and I talked about this game, because this is the game that I feel like if you have a PlayStation 2 and you like weird games, this is one you definitely need to play. And I'm not sure if you can get it on the PS3 on the PSN store. If you could, I would advise that, because the game has really risen in price. But I will say, if you do go out in the wild to get this game, be sure to get it with the instruction manual, because the instruction manual is also a walkthrough, because this game's very cryptic in some of the ways. It's not impossible to play without a guide, but it's pretty weird. I mean, the game is pretty much you're trying to gain the love of a girl that you just met moving into a new town, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with you because you have no experience. So what do? You go out doing a bunch of different quests, fetch quests, finding things, and you kiss everyone in town. You kiss everyone in town, and it impresses her to kiss you. That's Chulip. But anyway, guys, that's some of my memories of the PlayStation 2. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts, some of your favorite games, some of your favorite moments you had with this console. To this day, I absolutely love the PlayStation 2. It's just such a great console, and I think I hold it in high regard too, because it was the last console I got before I was an adult. Before graduating high school. It was my last childhood gaming console. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the bell to get future notifications on weekly content on this channel. And as always, happy gaming.